let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show.
Hey you guys, today's video is all about the karma. The karma is coming. The karma is coming in all manner of delicious ways. First, we're going to talk about the karma coming from one Ilhan Omar and her amazing group of Somali refugees that are just the brightest among us, don't you know? The plot doth thicken on that. Then we're going to discuss some karma coming for one Candace Owens. I can't with this heifer anymore. I literally can't. There was a proffer given to Miss Candace by one Turning Point USA, and we'll discuss how she reacted to that. And then finally, karma is coming for the Markle, ladies and gentlemen, and the karma has been coming for the Markle for these many years. It's been kind of a slow drip. It seems to be accelerating its pace. So stick around for all that today on the Angela Box Show.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Show your fucking money.
Okay, last week there was a story. I need to look at my notes here because I do not want to miss anything that I put down here. Last week there was a story that there were some whistleblowers that came out of Minnesota, and like 480 of them or 430 or something like that, like a crazy high number, that basically all said that the governor of Minnesota, one Governor Jazz Hands, was basically looking the other way at all this Somali COVID fraud. The initial number they said they were defrauding the American taxpayer for was like, you know, 250 million. And then it jumped to $1 billion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's $8 billion. It's really bad. Let's roll this first clip of them breaking this down, and then we'll pick this up on the flip side and discuss how Ilhan Omar is in. Oh, this heifer's getting deported, and it's going to be great. Roll that clip.
Fraud investigators are finding in Minnesota is growing by the day. Kelly Loeffler, who leads the Small Business Administration, says in the 2 days her agency has been investigating the state, they've uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud just 2 days in. Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have also told lawmakers they believe the total amount of fraud could total up to more than $8 billion. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch. But he says they have paused these programs. They've brought in outside auditors to get an idea of how far-reaching this fraud was. They're taking steps to keep it from happening again. And he's defending his management of the state while also taking shots at Republicans and the president.
And in spite of the headwinds we're up against, Minnesota ranks economically, economic growth, happiness, number of people insured, education levels, near the very top. So I'll tell you what, I have no interest in having this state look like Oklahoma or Mississippi. And if folks are going to commit crimes here, thinking because our generous spirit and our programs that we have is going to give them some kind of cover, they are sadly mistaken.
Yeah, Minnesota is also now home to the single largest pandemic fraud scheme in the country. And Republicans argue that Walz and other Democrats opened the door to this.
Okay, so yes, $8 billion and so many Democrats connected to it. We've got Tim Walz. And you know what's funny? Last week on Isaiah's show, I said, you know, I don't think that Tim Walz is smart enough to like get in on the action. Like, I just don't. I mean, but we do need to kind of check his net worth, don't we? Because there are some serious jumps in net worth of Democrats, as we know. They're like, I don't know what happened. Like, I came into Congress like $450,000 in debt. Now I'm worth like, you know, $700 million. I don't know what happened. I'm just very astute, I guess. Well, that is what is happening here. So there is a Somali businessman, one of the people that is directly involved in this scheme. And this scheme involved this basically this food. Let me get the right name of it. It's called It's called the Meals Act, Modifying Essential Access to Lunch for Students Act. Guess who introduced this bill that the Somalis in Minnesota then raped the American taxpayer for $1 billion? That would be Ilhan Omar, you guys. That would be our favorite little turban-wearing sleeper cell, marrying her brother, little pocket person, Ilhan Omar, who, married a brother and married some other Somali guy. So she divorced the brother because who wants to... That's boring after a while. Then she married some other Somali guy who I guess was her real boo. Then she popped out a couple of unfortunate looking children. And then she got rid of that guy and she married her campaign consultant who just so happens to be a white leftist. Y'all, this is going to get very, very interesting. And so the whistleblowers that came out and first were like, it's this amount of money. No. And then, so after more whistleblowers were coming, so, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, let me go back. So there was a restaurateur, and his name, he's an illegal, of course he is. Of course he's an illegal alien. His name is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim, who was involved in feeding our future fraud fund scheme. And here he is pictured. I'm going to show you the picture here. It's from Lives of TikTok. Shown with Governor Jazz Hands, Ilhan Omar, the walking sleeper cell, and brother effer, evidently. Then we've got Secretary of State Steve Simon and Senator Tina Smith. What did they know and when did they know it, as the old saying goes? So Kelly Loeffler, the SBA administrator, has now come out and says that that she has been the recipient of, so many more whistleblowers. Now that the floodgates are open, people are telling. People are talking, people are telling, and I guarantee you, people that are lower level on this little food chain are going to get in and start singing because they don't want to get wrapped up in this. Because not only are these people going to go to prison for a very, very long time, but Ilhan Omar is going to be deported. So just add this to the list of the reasons this heifer should be deported. Now, speaking of Ilhan Omar, she really has been a thorn in all of our sides for these many years. Lest you forget her and her native tongue freaking out when one of her fellow radical Islamists, some freaky looking Somali guy, did not win Minnesota or Minneapolis's mayor's race. Omar Fateh, I guess his name is. Take a listen to her in her native tongue talking about how we need to, if we're not going to band together and make Somalia, make St. Paul, Minnesota, Somalia, then we need to get rid of all the people who are against us. Roll that clip.
qofka Soomaaliga ah waa qof cadow sare ah dadkaasoo kaleetana magaaladayna nool dhex nool yihiin waan aragnaa anagoo dhan qaar waxaa jiro aan dhahno qofkan wuu iska hadlaa micno ma leh kanina adeerkay waaye bidiis waxa dhihin waxa laga yaabaa ka fishaabyaalkeen waa taqaaniin dadkan ka hadlaayo Starbucks ka la fadhiistiin maybe masaajidka marmar inuu imaadana laga yaabaa xafladaha isla tagtiin waa taqaaniin dadkan ka hadlaa inuu guriga la deganahay waa aragtiin dadkaas iska qabta meel ma gaarin anaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay inta dadkaas ay nagu dhex jiraan oo aanan dhehaynin qofkaanaytii hana dhaafo dadka aan difaacna annaga kuwa annaga rabo maalin ilaahay keeno in xabsina la geliyo maalin ilaahay keeno been naga abuuro maalin ilaahay keeno video yaal af Soomaali aan dhihin soo sheego waxba aan soo sheegnay oo meel hadhoodi aan ka galaysid male ileen maanta oo dhan ma taagnaan kartid ma dhihi kartid aniga hadalkan kuma hadlin because shaqaan noo taala anaga waa shaqaynoynaa idinka idin difaacoynaa wadankaanaan difaacoynaa sharciyo aan suubinoynaa maanta oo dhan kuma soo taagnaan karno videogaaneyti aniga hadalkan ma dhihin maanta oo dhan meel nala taagnaan karno taas idinka idin taala inaadan soo dhawaysanin dadkaas maalin ilaahay keeno ka shaqaynaayo sida Soomaalida wadankan ku nool ay wax ku noqoneen.
And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're not watching and not reading the subtitles on that, but essentially she says that all of you dirtbags that voted against this Somali, this brave Somali, who just, He's just wanting to become a tax-paying good citizen of the United States of America. No, what she said is basically we're taking over. And we're taking over here first in Minnesota, and then we're going to spread it out to whoever our little talons can take us. Now, Ilhan Omar is not the only one, obviously. We've got Tim Walz, who I didn't think was smart enough to be on the take. Again, let's look at his offshore accounts, shall we? Then, of course, we've got Keith Ellison, who is another dirtbag, who was the Attorney General, I believe, of the state of Minnesota. It's just, I mean, like, think about, y'all, when we were growing up, side note, this is why we need to shut the border for the next 20 years and not let anybody in, except, like, people that can contribute. And I'm actually, in a minute, I'm going to read you a list of people who actually are net positives on the United States and net negatives. You're going to be shocked, I tell you, at the diversity of this list. But anyway, remember when we were growing up, I always thought of Minnesota. I mean, obviously super cold. The Minnesota Vikings, Scandinavian, lots of people from that region of the world coming and settling in Minnesota. Obviously a lot of Swedish names in Minnesota, etc. And now it's like little mocha effing Dishu, okay? Get them all out. Get them all out. Now, Ilhan Omar, she was once a, poor little war-torn refugee, even though there's lots of proof that actually her family were the ones that were actually tormenting all the Somalians, and they were basically told to leave in the dead of night or they would be killed. Maybe. In 2020, here's Ilhan Omar's net worth, okay? Now, again, keep in mind, she was married to her brother. She divorced that guy. She married some other guy, some Somali guy, popped out a couple of very unfortunate kids, one of who just got kicked out of Bernard College because she was ranting and raving about Israel. Oh, sorry, bye, bitch. Anyway, she marries her campaign consultant, but not before she, paid him probably millions of dollars, okay? Because this is how campaign consultants work, all right? They get a cut of the mail, they get a cut of everything, okay? Not to mention their salary that they're paid from the campaign funds. And then she's banging this guy, and then they just get married, and everyone's just like, oh, isn't that a nice story? It's like, well, I mean, there's a lot of problematic things in here, but he's white, so obviously that's the number one problem. Anyway, let me get to this. So Ilhan Omar, here was her net worth, okay? In 2020, negative $65,000, okay? 2021, $65,000. So she made up about, what, $130,000 in a year? How did she do that? I'll continue. 2022, $115,000. So we're getting higher and higher, aren't we? 2023, $205,000, which again, going from a negative $65,000 to a positive $205,000 in the span of 3 years is sus when you're a public servant. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one even had the wherewithal to go, how did you get that money? Even though it's not a lot, but where'd you get it? Anyway, I'll continue. So 2023, $205,000. And then, drum roll please, in 2024, this bitch is worth reportedly $30 million. $30 million, ladies and gentlemen. Her and her white savior husband are in a shitload of trouble. And so are all the other filthy, stinking Democrats that were involved in this scheme. And does anyone really think that it was just Minnesota Democrats that are involved in this? I dare say not, because that is a lot of money that they laundered, and a lot of money that they said were going to certain places that did not go to those places. So they had to launder it and they had to give it to lots of different people, you guys. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, I want to play a couple more clips here. There's two that I'm going to play. The first is a video from James O'Keefe, a Somali immigrant, admitting that they were, these votes, these empty ballots here, we're going to fill them out for Ilhan. She bought them. But before I get to that, let me enlighten you with some facts on the net benefit to the United States per immigrant group. Okay. Now I will submit to you. I'm getting ready to read, and I'm going to show this on the screen too. I would say to you, I will take. We can open up our borders, our immigration system to these groups. Okay. Suck it, all you leftists. All right. First of all, we have immigrants from North America. They are that would include Canada, obviously. They are a positive $573,000 over their lifetime. Scandinavia, positive $557,000. Oceania, which I don't know what that is. I thought that was just in 1984. Am I crazy? What the actual is Oceania? I have to look that up. You guys, what? Okay. Granted, geography is not my thing. Neither is math or science, but you know, who's counting? All right. Oceania, plus $476,000. Japan, $525,000. UK, $481,000. Okay. Now, so I will say, let us open our immigration system to those people. Okay. Great. If you can come here and be a net positive, basically, if you can come and be a net positive, like we need to have New Zealand and Australia's immigration system. Like they basically make you give a full accounting of all your money and property and how you're not going to be a burden on them before they will even let you set foot in their countries. That's what we need to be doing. All right. Now, are you ready? Get ready. I know you're going to be shocked at the top of this list. At the top of this list are our friends from Somalia. And Somalians cost the taxpayer on average per person, negative 1.1 million. So that means that every single Somali man, woman, and child that is trucked into this country because Democrats hate your guts is costing the American taxpayer 1.1 million each. I'll continue. The Caribbean, negative 675,000. Middle East, negative 624,000. Latin America, negative 271,000. Sub-Saharan Africa, negative 730,000. And Central and North Africa, 700,000. Let me tell you something. I don't know how much more money we need to give Africa, or how much more like water or infrastructure. Like, you're either going to get your shit together or you're not. Okay? Stop importing your shit here. All right, there we go. That's right. I said it. Now let's roll that clip. Let's roll that clip of James O'Keefe showing that Ilhan Omar is paying for illegal aliens to fill out her ballots. Roll that clip.
James O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Mohammed, aka King Liban 1, boasts about the hundreds of absentee ballots in his car.
Numbers don't lie. Wajida gaarigaygu waa buuxaa. Waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala. Soo ma jeedin. Fiiri, waxaas oo dhan soo ma jeedin. Waa buuxaa gaarigayga. Waa buuxaa yaala. Waxaas kullu waa Jamaal Usmaan way. Fiiri. 300 clear maanta soo dhacday oo Jamaal Usmaan. Yeah.
There was video. You could see the video. There was a video out and about that he has the ballots in his car.
Right.
And talking about the only way you can win is with money. I was looking at them and they were not filled. They were blank.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots?
People who work with like Ilhan Omar.
Where do they pay the money?
The minute we sign the thing, the election, that's what you get paid.
Money is everything. Money is the key in this world. If you ain't got money, you should not be here, period.
At the end of this street,
yes,
there's 3 towers called phone towers.
Okay.
And it's all seniors, and they took every ballot.
Every ballot. They just take them from them.
Every single ballot. They knock on the door and say, your ballots, come, give it to me. They don't
even pay them for it. They just take it.
No. And the ones that didn't vote on ballots, the young people and the women and stuff, they were paying cash. They were carrying bags of money the last 1 week here to drive people. So there's a vested interest, but we are victims of the system. They don't give a shit about any Somali.
2 in the morning, still hustling.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots?
People who work with like Ilhan Omar and other candidates who work for them. They came to us, to our apartments. They tell us that this year you're going to vote for Ilhan. You don't go nowhere, you stay home, we will tell fill out for your absentee ballot. When it comes, we'll come and get it. You just don't go nowhere, you stay here. They fill out for us.
I mean, there's so much that I didn't even get to in this segment because, you know, the radical Muslims are on the march, all right? And if y'all don't think that Ilhan Omar is a radical Muslim, you're smoking as much crack as allegedly Barack Obama did in the back of a limousine with Larry Sinclair. All right, they're on the march, they play for keeps, and our tolerance of Western civilization, our tolerance in Western civilization has caused this mess. We let them in, now it's time to deal with it, all right? Okay, the last clip I want to show you from Ilhan is just kind of a breakdown of her net worth. I broke it down earlier, but roll the clip and let's watch it.
Developing now, despite arguing she is not worth millions, a new financial disclosure found Representative Ilhan Omar's net worth could be as much as $30 million. The vast majority of the money coming from her husband's two companies. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris joining us. There's been interest growing around this disclosure because earlier this year she slammed claims of being a secret millionaire. What more can you share, Jeff?
So the 2025 disclosure, first reported by the Washington Free Beacon, shows that the Minnesota Congresswoman and her husband have a net worth between $6 and $30 million, a roughly 3,500% increase compared to 2023. The Free Beacon reporting the couple's financial gains came from her husband's two businesses, a winery in California and a venture capital firm headquartered in Washington, D.C. Those assets were valued between $5 and $25 million by the end of 2024. In 2023, that number was reportedly less than 1,000. But Omar, a founding squad member, slammed online speculation back in February, claiming she was a secret millionaire. Omar saying, quote, "Since getting elected, there has been a coordinated right-wing disinformation campaign claiming all sorts of wild things, including the ridiculous claim I am worth millions of dollars, which is categorically false." Omar went on to say she is a working mom with student loan debt, trying to raise a family while also maintaining homes in Minneapolis and in Washington, D.C., the disclosure reflecting those debts. As of tonight, Omar has not publicly commented on this new disclosure.
Yes, you guys. Now, Ilhan Omar might be the face of this little scandal, and Governor Jazz Hands is certainly not far behind. But there's a lot. There's a whole lot of Democrats that are involved in this. And you know what's wild is, like, the karma is now coming fast. It's coming fast. Like, Kelly Loeffler at the Small Business Administration is like, oh, whistleblowers are... I don't even have any voicemail left. There's so many whistleblowers. Y'all are in big, big trouble. And that is the karma that awaits these people. They need to all go to prison. And it's going to be so obvious that not even Democrat jurors and not even Democrat prosecutors and not even Democrat judges are going to get... they're not going to get away with this because it's financial, it's black and white, and it involves importing a third world group into this country that has zero means to support themselves, to assimilate whatsoever, to learn English, or to adapt to American culture whatsoever. No, they want us to adapt to them.